Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Parlor podcast brought to you by Torvia Real Estate. My name is Matt Labrot, that is Chayan Alavi, and we are here again to talk real estate. And not real estate investing, no get rich quick. We are here to talk about what it's like to be a realtor, our daily lives, and it's been 1 week, so we're going to talk about it again.
It's been 1 week. Welcome everyone, thanks. Matt, we went to a baseball game this weekend, right?
Yeah, we did. America's greatest pastime.
So fun watching the grass grow. But I know you thoroughly enjoyed it. But I wanted to talk about what I saw on the internet the other day. And if you've got your Slack open, take a look at this, my friend, and let me know what your thoughts was. This is at a baseball game, which I wish it was at our baseball game. Not that the food was bad at the Angel Stadium, which was actually a lot of fun. But what do you think about this thing?
I am so hungry right now.
I know we haven't eaten yet. That looks amazing. But actually, so that is at a baseball field. I forgot the name of that burger. But here's the fun part about it. How much do you think that burger costs at a baseball park?
Oh, that is a $16.50 burger.
Okay. Do you think that would make a difference depending on where it is in the country?
No, that is a tried and true $16.50 burger.
That is at Petco Park, which you would know where that is, right?
That is San Diego.
Yes, it is at the Padre Stadium.
Yep.
And that burger with a side, I'll give you one last guess. Now that you know where it is it $16.50?
That is a $16.50 burger.
It is not. It is $12.50.
Whoa!
Can you believe it?
No, that's I don't believe that at all. That's great. With a side?
Baseball's sticking up. You know, they're picking up their game. I mean, I just want to go to the baseball field and have that burger.
Yeah,
I mean, with a side, $12. They'll get you in the beer probably, but overall, I thought that was amazing. So being that we just went to the baseball game, I thought I'd share with you that before we get into the thick and thin of things. And
we're on the West Coast here for anybody who doesn't know that. So we went to Angel Stadium in Anaheim. I'm an Oakland A's fan, so I've been to Oakland Stadium, and the food there is also delicious and relatively cheap. But then you can go to San Francisco.
Yep.
And you're going to have to put a house payment down to get
good luck with that.
Anything to eat at San Francisco Stadium. It's just a nightmare.
So I wanted to talk a little bit more about our backgrounds, because if anybody's listening to us, we'd really even talk about who we are or where we're from or experiences and things like that. So just a quick second. I'm Chayan. I'm the broker owner here. And overall, I've been in the industry for 15 years. I've done a lot of commercial real estate. I'm also an international real estate technology consultant. I've worked with large corporate firms, especially a lot of times when companies want to do an IPO. They'll ask me what my thoughts are on real estate and technology. I don't know if it's any value, but apparently they think so. So all that's well. But at the nit and gritty of it, the day to day, I'm a real estate agent and I love it. That's what I love to do. And that's the grind that I encounter all day long. Who are you, sir?
So for me, I have nowhere close to as many years under my belt as a real estate agent. I have officially, as of about a week ago, hit my 1 year mark.
Congrats.
As a realtor, licensed California real estate agent.
Doing great as a first year. I think your rookie season has been really, really good.
You know, I was really going for an MVP rookie of the year. Since I'm the only rookie in the office, I'm going to go ahead and give it to myself. But yeah, it felt good. It was really an enjoyable experience. But before that, I've been working in retail and restaurant management for the last 15 years. And it was just kind of time to get out of that. But rolling all of my years of people management and restaurant customer service and retail, it really kind of worked out for me. I think it was a really good foundation for working in the real estate world.
And I think it's a good point to get across that I think you and I can bring different perspectives to the industry because you see it much more differently than I see it. And I think there's some value there in the conversations that we have. So I think when anybody who is listening or watching us, keep that in mind. And I think the two perspectives blending together can shed some light and I think some value to the overall conversation. So with that better said, I think it's also cool to kind of learn a little bit more about each other and figure out like what ticks and basically, as they would say in the movies, character development. So what I want to do is I'm going to give you 3 clues to my favorite childhood movie, and I want to see if you can guess what they are. Okay. And I'm going to guess with like hard ones. And if you can guess it on the first three, fantastic. If you can't, then I'll give you additional clues that will hopefully make it easier for you to understand.
And for the record, for anyone listening, I absolutely love movies, and
I think you're going to get it with like the first two. So okay. I'm trying to, even in my mind before I say it, I'm like, maybe I should try to make these harder because you're gonna get it. But I'm going to try with vague clues.
Okay.
Sentence: crazy drunk drivers, sports almanac, Einstein.
I already had it.
Son of a bitch.
It was the second one. You could have. No, I already had it.
Damn.
So that would be Back to the Future.
Yes, I knew you'd get
it.
And those were hard. Damn you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are super
and also, I mean, I didn't watch that kind of movie until, I was 20 years old. I was a big, young movie watcher. I didn't watch Back to the Future.
Okay, well, you missed out in your youth because it caught me right at the right age. I think I was like 8 years old, and that was like perfect. That was right in the imagination whirlwind. So cool.
Okay, well, so that's everybody knows that Chayan saw that when he was 8 years old. So do some math. That's how old Chayan is.
Oh yes.
I was younger than that.
Yeah, we're about the same age then, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Got it.
Okay. Well, so yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to show you this week's. I think this is our third podcast. I don't know if we'll be airing any of these, but our third podcast. I think one of the cool and fun things we're doing is listing agents out there. We look at houses every day, right? We're looking at houses, and we have a lot of opinions and assumptions that we make on the listings just by the way that they're presented on the MLS and on the inventory control system that we use. I wanted to share a couple new photos that I came across of agents who've listed their homes, and I wanted to see what your thoughts were on those. And again, I think it's important to know we are critiquing these photographs and overall the listings that these agents are putting on, but by no way means do we know the type of agent they are, or that we're saying that they're bad people or bad agents or they can't do their job well. It's just definitely they can do better as far as the presentation of the listing. So here's the first one I'm going to share with you. I want you to tell me your thoughts on this original first photograph of this house. What do you think?
This is the first photograph.
This is the first photograph. It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
it's the photograph.
So
thoughts
for me,
on this?
So for me, looking at this better be the only photograph.
It's not. 75 photos on this listing.
That's gosh.
Yeah.
So when I first see this, to me it screams that is a probate listing. There is one photo. Nobody's ever gone inside.
I don't know if you can notice it, but there's a lot of things in this photograph that are fun. First of all, it's a red light, which means stop, don't come.
Yeah, which means the person is in his car, his or her car, taking this photo at a red light.
Did you notice the shopping cart?
I did notice.
Yeah, okay. The shopping cart.
Oh, I see it.
That's part of this photograph. What about the power lines? I mean, how many power lines could you get inside of a photograph? And by the way, my wife, one things in her pet peeve on any house for sale or for listed is power lines. I didn't even realize power lines were such a ugly thing to look at, but yeah, he did a really good job capturing every power line that was in the city, apparently, over this house.
Yeah. So, and I'm also seeing this is a very busy intersection based off how many lights are on this right. There's 5 different lights there.
It's not hard to critique this one, right? There's a million things, a million different angles you can take of this photograph, including maybe even not taking this photograph at all.
No, there's no reason for it, right? If you're telling me there's other photos of this, this one should not be there.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Are you going to show me others?
I'm going to show you other photos. But I'm actually not at this listing.
Okay.
Here's the next one. I'm doing outside first because outsides are kind of fun. Here's the next photo I want to show you. I'm loading it right now into you. What do you think about this one?
It's a little askew.
Yep.
A little. Okay.
Little caution tape necessary.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Some what would originally be oil splatters in the driveway, but because of the caution tape, I'm thinking, those are probably blood splatters at some point.
It's so easy to. I'm sending you this one in particular because I think it's so easy to fix. That's why.
Yeah.
You can take out the caution tape real quick and then take a photo. You can correct the angle so that at least it's straight. 3, you can actually put some framing around it. Either, hey, do you want to shoot the garage? Do you want to shoot the house? Do you want to shoot maybe an angle of the garage at a house, but at least have the whole house in it. There's small things. It's also a really gray day. It's not a bright and sunny day. It looks like it's a very, very stormy. So a lot of little things that they could have done to make this photo a lot better, but this is not a very appealing photo if you're going to go looking to buy a house.
And so these are where we're talking about good agents doing bad things, maybe on accident, of like, we're hoping that this is somebody who is listening to the pod, realizing, oh man, I sure did mess that one up a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit better care.
It's essentially something that could easily, I think, be fixed.
Yeah, okay. Especially the straighten it out. I mean,
all right,
hold your iPhone straighter.
Last outside photo I want to show you. And this is kind of like, if you can't do the other ones, how about this?
Oh, yeah. So that, my friends, if you are new to this game, will get your butt booted off the MLS with a big old fine. So
that's the opening photo. If people explain what that actually is, in case some people don't see it or are not listening or not visually watching this.
Yes. So those of you who are listening, it wasn't a butt or anything posted. It is a Google Street View. A photo of Google Street View, not even a screenshot of it. This is somebody taking a picture of their monitor.
Yeah, that's Street View. Okay, so that's the funny part, is if you're going to take a photo of a Google Street View, great. Maybe you want to screenshot it, take it off your phone, but he straight up took a photo of his monitor, right? That's a photo of his monitor.
That happened. Yep. With the arrows that are still very
arrows
visible.
in there.
Yeah.
And you can also expand that, right? You can get rid of the arrows in a Google Street View. Yeah. So worst come to worst, you could just do a little bit more effort and make this photo a million times better.
Well, and also, again, if this isn't the only photo, this adds zero value because it's the side of a home. Like It's not the front yard. If this is the best that you're grabbing from Google Street View, there's no point. Just do no photos.
Seems like you could do a lot better with this. Okay, moving along. Let me show you this one. Now, this is an actual MLS listing photo, and I can't really determine what I'm looking at, but this was on the MLS. So I was searching for houses, and I came across this photo, and I don't even know what to make of it. I want to critique it, but at the same point, I have no idea what this is.
And based off the logo in the bottom right, you haven't flipped this photo. This is the orientation.
That's exactly the orientation, because honestly, I don't know if I think it goes left.
Yeah, so what we have here is a hot water heater.
Yep.
The tip top of a hot water heater with broken sheetrock, and looks like a shower.
How can you fix this? What's the remedy here, Matt? I mean,
just don't do it.
Okay, I think that's simple enough.
if you want an actual photo of this stuff, maybe take 5 steps backwards and angle the phone the correct direction. But there's no way that there's anything in here that's adding value to your sale.
It just doesn't make any sense as far as the way they shot this or even the reason why. Okay, moving on. Next photo. I got 2 left.
Oh, sorry. That was my fault. I didn't click to the next photo. Okay.
It's not dramatic, right? It's not, but at the same token, what is it? What am I looking at? There's a lot of little things in this photo you could correct. It's a photo of mainly the ceiling with drapes that have very easily could be corrected, an unmade bed, and I don't really know what the point or even why this photo exists. There's just no point to put this in the MLS. Nobody's going to see this photo and say, oh, I want to go to this house now because I've seen this photo.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't add, again, we're talking about adding value. It doesn't add value. If you're trying to show somebody that this is another bedroom in the home, again, take a step back, show them the floor, show them something else.
Yeah. Anything else would be more beneficial than what I'm looking at here. So
and like you said, make the bed. I mean, that's not, if you are dealing with tenants, maybe, but I would also even talk my way into letting the tenants let me make the bed for them so I can take the photo, and then I'd fluff it back up for
them. Totally. Whenever you take a listing, if something is not presented well, you go in there and you clean it. I mean, we've straight up cleaned houses and moved around furniture.
Oh, yeah.
We get the photo ready and make it at least somewhat valuable and provide value and common interest. If anything, this is derailing my curiosity to want to go see this house.
Yeah.
So
it answers the question that I didn't know that I was asking of how crappy is that last bedroom? Oh, it's this crappy.
Yeah. So, and inside the same house, we've got my final photo. And this is actually one of my favorites for this week. Even though this week was a little bit weaker than last, this one's kind of funny. This one I really laughed at when I first saw it. And even though it doesn't seem like much.
Oh, please tell me there's a person in that bed.
Is there a person sleeping in that bed? Because I think there's a person in that bed. And it wouldn't be, sorry about that.
Oh, sorry.
It's not the first time we've seen somebody in a bed. I've showed a house once where we thought nobody was home, and we went into the bedroom, and the lady was sleeping in the bed. But what was funny was she wasn't under the covers. She was laying almost like a dead person over the covers, straight, with her eyes just peeking. And we're walking around the room, and she's not opening her eyes. And that was one of the weirdest showings I ever had. Is like, how awkward was it that she's just pretending that we're not there and she's sleeping? So, okay.
Yeah, that is, and this is one of those, and I actually liked these ones this week. They were way less extreme.
They were.
But they're just showing every day what it looks like of just all of these photos. I mean, these people are getting paid a great amount of money to put in no effort.
Yeah. And really, when it comes to the actual listing, there is really no difference. And I hate to devalue you and I, but all agents are the same. As long as you take good quality photographs, you do a good job getting the home ready as possible, do some post editing work on the photographs, and put on the MLS with a good copy, every agent is the same. Our values really come to play when we're in escrow and we're trying to manage the situations and like, oh, this agent's great because he's come across these different scenarios. But at this point, I mean, there's just really nothing to say about how easy it is to make the listing more valuable.
Yeah. And this is, and again, I hope that somebody in here is trying their best. Like that this is actually somebody trying their best. But it sure doesn't look like it. So if you're not trying and this is what's, if you're not trying and this is what you're doing, I greatly dislike you.
Yeah.
If you're trying, please listen to any recommendations that we're giving and just maybe put a different flair to it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's no doubt.
And also, I would like to, I'm going to find this photo as a reference, but when I say flair, I do not mean an Instagram sticker that says 100 on the photo or little flames or whatever, because I've seen that on a pretty recent MLS photo where somebody added the stickers and decals.
I had something like that I was going to show this week, but yes, we'll save something for that because those do exist. Those are as crazy as they sound.
That is not the flair that I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's really easy, guys, to make your listings to be more presenting. You have to do your best to make them show quality. It is their home, but it is your product. And you've got to remind the sellers that they've got to prepare and they have to do a little bit of elbow grease in order to get the best possible retail price for their property. We're talking about the difference of tens of thousands of dollars. This is not the difference of hundreds of dollars. This is a huge, fluctuation in price by not hiring and not preparing yourselves correctly for a photo. And you can't say that without further ado. But I think overall in the weeks when we get more and more into this is a fun segment. I like kind of copying and seeing what the other agents are doing and critiquing it and hopefully helping somebody and maybe making not these mistakes twice.
Yeah. And I think it's pretty easy to say like, oh, I'm a good agent. I would never take a photo like that. Those people, again, probably thought that they did enough or good enough. So it's just let's elevate ourselves a little bit more here.
Yeah, it doesn't work in 2019. These agents might have been real estate agents in the early 90s, even older than that, where photos did not actually matter. The MLS and the way people looked for inventory was very different than it is today. When today we've got so much information, we have so many photos, but in reality back then is you went to your local board and there was a yellow pages thick document of all the listings available. And guess what? There was no room for photos. So you could show up to a house with your client. They had no idea. They'd be lucky to know what city they were in. Now you show up to a listing, the client knows everything. The client sometimes, unfortunately, knows more than the agent. when it was last foreclosed, what the last 5 listing photographs look like, its price, its average price per square foot, because all that information and the data is ready. And they're looking at their own houses. But when you're a broker or agent, you've got clients, you've got 50 different properties. You can't really be that intricate with everything. So it's just funny how the world has changed, but yet some people in the industry have not. So it's a lesson to, hey, if you've not been fast forwarding, you need to catch up quick.
So based off of that, and kind of this little new segment that we have of talking a little smack about some of these photos, I actually want to talk about the reverse. What happens on the flip side? What if your photos are phenomenal? So what we've been seeing a decent amount of lately, or that I've been seeing, is these homes that are popping up and they are hot. Either they're listed as Redfin hot homes, or you can see how many clicks they're getting on Zillow. And I'll show up to the open house and there's people flooding into this thing.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't sell. 40 days on the market, 50, 60 days on the market.
So what does that mean?
On a home that was hot. So what I want to talk about is, are the photos the only thing that's important?
No. Going on that element, that is not the most. So as cringeworthy as those photos are, the most important factor when it comes to listing a house is price. Price is everything. We'll say this then, we'll say it today, and we'll say it tomorrow. But every piece of residential real estate has a value to it. So regardless of the photos, the condition is the condition. Nobody's going to be fooled by that, right? It's not like you're walking into a store or you're buying this over the phone. Escrow processes are long, and you've got all this time to do due diligence. There's going to be no surprises. So if something is elegantly taken photos of and professionally staged, it does not matter. What matters is putting the right price on the piece of real estate. And if you undervalue the price, guess what? It'll have 50 offers in 3 days, and it'll sell for probably very close to what its actual retail price is. And if you overlist it, it's going to sit on the market for 3 months, and you'll get a lowball offer 3 months later, and it'll probably sell very close to its actual retail price. So really what it comes down to, whenever you're taking a listing, it's important to not what I call buy the listing. So agents are competing against other agents. And of course, when you've got 3 agents lined up and somebody's going to value your home $50,000 more than the next agent, you'd almost have to be demented not to take that $50,000 offer more. So how do you convince the seller that, hey, I don't want to buy your listing. I want to make sure that we price your listing accordingly so that it has its best possible chance to cause emotional attachments to multiple buyers and hopefully ensue a bidding war, because a bidding war will, of course, increase price. But beyond price, I think one of the best things that a bidding war can do is it can dictate terms. And terms are extremely important in real estate. When do you move? How much of a deposit's put down? When can they remove contingencies? When do you start packing? All these other terms, when you have the logistics and the worry and the amount of stress that comes along with buying and selling and moving, that's something that you can be in control of. And that all happens at the dictation of the price. So it's really important to convince them that don't let another agent buy your listing, and talk it through and understand that here is where I think the real value of the real estate lands, and here's a suggested offering price, because that's exactly what it is. It's an offering price. No price is set in stone. A seller still has to execute a contract, and to give themselves that trust with their agent is really difficult to come by. But if you can get there, and it may not happen overnight, it may take over weeks, sometimes months of conversation. If you get there, your sellers are going to have an extraordinarily great experience. I think you and I both in our last listings have exceedingly gone over our list price. I think you just had a listing which was listed for what and sold for what?
The 775 listed, sold for 830.
Wow. What a tremendous difference. And
yeah.
How did you get there? Because she trusted you, I assume.
Definitely. And it's one of those things of right off the bat, I don't get to say to the seller, oh, look, I just made you $55,000 more dollars, though I did. What we really say is, this is what we thought was going to happen. Sure, it went even higher than we had initially expected, but thank you for trusting me. I told you I would get you to 787, which was the actual real goal. And then we were able to, even go much further past that.
Right.
So, and that's really making sure that you're setting the fair expectations of, if we're going to list it low, I know that, maybe the goal is to add 5 or 6 or 10K, but if it sells for what we've listed it for, that's also good. That's also a win, that we're selling it quickly instead of letting it sit on the market.
Yeah, and that was probably What does she want? Did she want 775? Or did she have a suggested price that she needed or she was expecting?
She didn't. So
That's good. Okay, that was easy, luckily.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there was
she
an
delightful.
expectation there.
Yeah.
My most recent listing, I listed it for, the sellers were very frank, and they wanted 500,000 for this 2-bedroom condo in downtown, and I said that's a little ambitious. I don't want to list it for 500,000. I want to list it for less, and it was a real tug of war. Eventually, they said, "We trust you. What do you suggest?" And I said, "I want to list it for 480." And knowing very well they want at least 500,000. And we listed it the first week, it was very quiet. And in fact, the first weekend we had 0 showings.
The fear starts to set in.
The fear started to set in. I was like, oh crap! Not only we're not getting any showings, but there's no traction here. However, that kind of made me feel a little bit better that we didn't list it for 500 and we listed a bit lower.
Would have got nothing.
It would have gotten nothing. So I said, hey, we're not getting any traction. Let me do an open house and just advertise it that way, and let's see what happens. We did the open house, and it was a success. We had, I think, about 10 or 11 people come through, and 2 people were very interested in the house, and it went crazy. So from 480, it went all the way up to 560. So we're talking about an $80,000 increase, skyrocketing past our expectations. And I really do feel if I had listed it for 500K, I wouldn't have gotten that kind of appeal and that kind of interest, because it took 2 people to fall in love, and the bidding war ensued, and that was a phenomenal success for the client and a home run. But it took trust, right? And I didn't get that overnight. They really didn't want to do the 480 mark, but they did. And for that, they were able to reap the benefits. And that's one of the things that I want to say, I'm prepared to walk away from a listing as long as I explain to the sellers that I'm not going to buy your listing. It's not going to do this. It's not going to perform the way the other agent is doing it. And if it does not, please consider me for the next time you go to list it. Because honestly, when you have a listing and you've bought the listing and it's too high price, there's tension. Any listing agent will know there's tension there when the house is not selling. Sellers asking, what's going on? What's going on? Why is this not selling? And you've got to come up with a strategic reason and thoughts of hey, well, honestly, everything about your house dictates around price, and it's just too expensive. So can you please lower the price? And they start to try to back down the sellers and say, hey, we need to lower our price. And that will work to a certain degree. The seller might take a few price reductions, but overall, it's very unlikely that they're going to go very low because you've promised them this price, and to say something otherwise usually is not going to work.
Yeah. So, and just to step in on that, so I know that people who may be listening are saying, well, if I don't overbid, somebody's just going to outbid me. Somebody's going to get this listing and I'm not going to. And you know what? There's a really good chance that that's the case. But we see it all the time. And Chayan, you can really attest to this. How often do you see a listing that sat on the market, took 2 or 3 price drops down, small, nothing crazy, 2, 3 price drops down, and then they expire that listing or they cancel that listing. They list with another person who's reputable.
Yeah.
And that person drops the price dramatically, and then it sells in the first weekend.
Right.
So that person just reaped all the benefits of you overbidding, completely messing up, failing to meet expectations, and then they get to swoop in and say, oh, well, we'll just list it for less. And they take the exact same pictures you just took. Say you did a good job on your photos. They take the exact same photos, maybe even worse. I've seen worse, and that hurts me.
Yeah.
And they just get to drop it $20K because the the sellers are just so mad at you, that instead of letting you drop it $20K, they're going to go to somebody else and let them drop it $20K.
There was a saying I heard from an Orange County real estate agent, and it's his saying, so I'm not taking credit for it, but he said it's better to be the firstborn, second wife, and third listing agent. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're taking all the benefits of the mistakes from the first 2 agents, and essentially it is probably revolving around price.
Yeah.
So you don't become the third agent and say, yeah, we can increase your price 10% or 100K. That's not going to happen. It's going to be the other way. But the seller has gone through that educational process of oh, crap. Okay. Yep. Let's do it. So he's going to obviously sell it in a blink of an eye because he gets to do the right price. And overall, that experience for the seller or the agent is going to be more positive because it's actually going to work.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to.
And honestly, what's going to end up happening is they're just going to be so mad at you, the person who overbid. They're going to think that you messed up. It's not even going to click in their head that they just sold their home for $50,000 less. It's going to be, that was a great experience. Look at my net profit. I still got this much. And then they can move on from it. So
yeah, exactly.
That was a very long tangent about listings. Sorry about that, folks.
That's okay.
My whole actual gist was just to say, don't lie in your listing photos, was actually where I was going with all of that.
You did a good job with that. No.
Yeah. We kind of took a little tangent from there. So,
well, being that you are 1 year in the industry, a lot of people might be thinking about getting their real estate license. I think people who are not in real estate always have this thought about maybe getting into real estate because they see the outside. The outside is you get to talk to people a lot. You get to go out on a sunny day. You get to go inside of homes and see people's houses, get big paychecks, but what are some of the negatives? What's the biggest burn in the 1 year you've been here? Because the burns are really where it's at, and it makes it not for everyone. And I kind of have a little bit of an inclination, and I know who's made for this business and people who are not. But tell me, do you have any burn stories in this last year?
I have 8th degree burns. I don't even know if that's a real thing.
Yeah, you're just a skull.
But
you're as red as your microphone.
So we talked about this before I joined your company, but that real estate has the highest of highs and the lowest of lows.
It really does. It rains, it pours.
Yeah. So you really, my big thing, of course, is that you have to be able to relish in the highs and really enjoy them, and then swipe away the lows. Which, I'm sorry, that's not just a thing that everybody can do, because bad is sometimes worse than good is good. So with that being said, I've had some great highs.
Tell us, what are the lows, though? I know the highs are high.
I have to emotionally come to terms with the fact that these things happen to me.
Come on, I want this counseling session right now. Tell me some of what is the biggest burn that you felt?
I'm just going to throw this one out there. Again, I don't know if it's the biggest burn that I felt.
And you shouldn't feel embarrassed, because I'll share my burns too. And I've got just as many times 100. And it's going to it's going to look like it's poorly reflecting on you, and it's not. Yeah. The reality is this is just the part of the world and the commission driven business that we're in. Yeah. And it's painful.
I'm going to say this one burns the most because I didn't do anything wrong. In fact, this buyer specifically told me that the reason they made their purchase decision was because of the hard work that I put in and all of that jazz. And at the end of the day, I made $0.
Yeah.
And so it was a very nice couple, an older couple that I met. We had set up a first-time tour. I had asked all the right first-time tour questions, which was, are you working with an agent? Things like that. Yep. And we set up our first-time tour because, they were just looking and wanted to see this ocean-facing property. So we went and we saw one unit, the unit that they wanted to see. Okay. And then out of my back pocket, I pulled the keys for 2 other properties in the same building. Not because they wanted those properties, but because they were the exact same layout, but they were more upgraded or on a different floor. So I wanted them to really see what this unit that wasn't in such great shape could look like if it was upgraded some more. And then I wanted to see one that was staged. So that's why we kind of went to see those 3 different options. The option they wanted was on a much higher floor. So it was beneficial to see what that unit could look like. So we saw all those other units. It was amazing. They said, thank you so much for showing us those other units. It really solidifies our decision to get this top floor unit. And we now have a much better idea what we should offer because we talked about that the whole time. And I said, great, let's get that done. And they said, oh, actually, our daughter is a broker in San Francisco and she's going to write the offer for us. Ouch. We just said we didn't have an agent because she doesn't live here and we needed to see the home.
Yeah. That's definitely a burn, and unfortunate, right? But it's funny because they let you know about it. A lot of times,
instead of just ghosting me.
Yeah, they could have ghosted you, and that happens often. And that's what they're doing, right? They're just, and then sometimes they show up on title, and some agents will actually search people's names to see eventually where they ended up, and it's the worst when it's a house that you've shown. And there's something called procuring cause. So if an agent shows a house and is the reason why the buyer has bought that home, they are entitled to that commission. It's just part of, and it's ethically sound, right? That makes sense to me. You took time, money, resource, gas, showed them the house, and they said, "Nope, you did all the work, but we're ready to now do the deal with somebody else." And that's a really, really painful part of the business, and something that I wish didn't exist. And perhaps one day it won't, but for now it is. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but it is a very real part of it.
My burn is not quite done burning on this one, actually. So obviously that's the pinnacle of terrible.
I just put lemon juice in the wound. Let's put some salt in too, please.
Because of course the worst thing is, they said that we're going to go with somebody else, and there's basically nothing I can do with it because it's not their cousin's stepson or anything like that. It's the daughter. It's really tough to beat daughter.
That's true. That's actually a little bit easier, right? That it's not. It's a family member.
Yeah. So 2 weeks go by. I saw that the home had accepted an offer. I was in the building 2 weeks later doing another showing. I had forgotten to leave the keys, so I came back to drop the keys off. And who do I bump into but the husband and wife who were buying the property?
So awkward.
And the daughter.
Oh, so awkward.
The daughter who they're here doing the property inspection. And I bump into them, and she was, the mom was so excited to see me. She hugged me, and she was like, we got it. We got that home. Like, thank you so much. And they introduced me to the daughter, and they say this to the daughter, and I look her straight in the eyes while the mom is saying this. The mom says, "This is Matt. He's the reason that we are buying the unit that we're buying."
Is that a compliment, or is that
It was
just a dagger?
The nicest free thing that anybody has ever done.
Nice.
So at the end of the day, it was so nice to hear that, and gut-wrenchingly devastating because I just lost, again, thousands of dollars. We all know how much, this world is, but thousands of dollars because I wasn't this lady's daughter. And heck, I would have been for the $1,000.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of hurt even a little bit more because I had, forgotten about it a little bit. They're doing the other thing. I'm moving on. I'm working with other buyers. It's fine. But then just to see them again and to have to just...
Man, that's rough. That is unfortunately part of the business.
Less than ideal. Yeah.
It comes in. I mean, when I was managing a large office, the agents were coming in crying. It was on a weekly basis where this is a very emotional business that we're in, and feelings get hurt. It's emotional for the buyers. It's emotional for the sellers. So it's unfair to say that it shouldn't be emotional for the agents. But and I try to preach like, hey, we need to be a little robotic when it comes to these transactions. Just kind of like, we're not exactly doctors, but we have to have that bedside manner where we can just detach ourselves from the emotional process of it and dictate the way that the cycle of real estate is going to work matter-of-factly, and not say, oh my God, this is that, and kind of feed into that emotional fire that is what is with everyone. And it's maybe a point to have a little bit more of a conversation with your first-time tours and talk, hey, are you working with another agent? Have you toured any other houses? If you did, who was that person you went with? And like, are you working with them? Are you committed? And if you ask the right questions in a non-confrontational way, you can get some information out of people. And that will not always protect you, but at least it can help. And helping yourselves to not waste your time and not to be burned is going to help you have a more successful and happy business. And that's definitely without saying. So, yeah.
And again, I did my best. I asked the questions as much as I could, but to a certain point, they also knew what they were doing. They knew they needed to see in the home. And again, the important thing is being able to have something like that happen and just move on.
Absolutely.
So we didn't sue anybody or anything like that. I put my head down and I focused on my next 2 deals that I had in the works. So Thanks for bringing that up.
Sorry for the wounds. Definitely, that makes you better. It's the deals that go wrong that make you a good agent. You're not judged by your easy ones. You're judged by the hard ones, and that's the matter of fact. If you can see it from start to finish on the hard ones, then you can kind of tell yourself, this is my pedigree, this is my value, this is how I can get it done. It's the easy ones that are cash, 5 days, no big deal. And that's usually the ones that with the big paychecks. So it's very unfair. The smaller paychecks seem to be a lot more work, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles in our business. So,
and also, we love the little paychecks because it means probably somebody is buying their first home and they finally saved up. It's great. versus somebody buying their 18th home
that
and
they're
their,
never going to live in.
yeah, their vacation rental property. And again, those people are delightful. Most of them are delightful, and we're happy to work with them. But there is something about a first-time home buyer getting the keys on the first day. That's the highest. That's the highest high right
an
there.
Awesome feeling, and it is a high. It is definitely a high, and makes the business all worthwhile. The lows can kind of go to hell when it comes to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, on the next episode, we're gonna slice Cheyenne open and find out what all of his wounds look like.
Yeah.
Because if I have these wounds from year one, I'm assuming 10 years worth of wounds will be maybe a little
definitely we'll keep
more
that
vast.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, everyone. I got nothing else for you, Matt. I think this was a good run for our third podcast, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Bye.